Hey, what's up, good people? Today is July the 8th, 2025. I want to do a video about timers and creating objects. It was something that somebody in one of the forums had a question about, so I figured, why not do a video about it? I made a comment on the post there, and so now I'm just commenting and doing a video here. So the question was about, let me see if I can pull this up. So the question was about designer generated code and objects. Okay, so objects, let's we're just going to get rid of this here because that's essentially it. But we're going to show you how we get there, because you're a horse and I'm a horse and there's the water, but we have to lead each other to water, not get it brought to us. What are we talking about here? All right. So we're going to open up this. We're just going to call it 0708 timer. Okay, get rid of all of that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to toolbox, and then we're going to go down to timer. We're going to double click on it, so it brings this component, this object over here to the chart, and the object also has properties. So you can go up to, I think it's view, toolbars, properties. But I have mine on the side over here. So you go to properties, you can I'll set this for 5,000 milliseconds, which will equal 5 seconds. Enable, I'm going to leave it as false. And then so what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to say, if the last bar on the chart, so if last X, then once, what are we going to do? We're going to start the timer. So timer 1.start. Okay, verify that. Don't have any errors there. We're going to bring this over to this chart here, and it's 0708 timer. This is a show me. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, so right now it's not doing anything, but we did start the timer, and at some point it elapsed, but nothing happened. So what we need to do is we need to go over here to the events page, and then under elapse, we can double click in there. It'll give us a method already, an event handler, and so this is our event handler. Okay, so in the event handler, we can put print, and then we'll just put timer elapse 5 seconds. Now, it should be set to auto reset as false. Now, if we set it to true, you know what happened is it'll print out every 5 seconds, right? So we verified timer lasts 5 seconds, and then another 5 seconds will go by, and timer lasts 5 seconds. It'll continue to do that, okay? And we only started the timer one time, but so for auto reset, we're going to make it as equal to false. We're going to come back over here. We're going to clear this, and so what we're going to do, the object of what I want to show you today is twofold. One is the designer generated code. The designer generated code, if we go up here to DGC, you can go to, I think it's view, toolbars, nope. Debug windows, no, tools. I think it's, under view, yeah, view, designer generated code. But I have a shortcut for it up here. Called DGC. So if I click DGC, it pulls up the designer generated code for this analysis technique. Now, if it doesn't have a designer generated code, then obviously it won't bring anything up. But you see, it says designer generated code and it has the name of the analysis technique. All right, so this is the designer generated code for this chart. Okay, so this right here, you see all this information here. Now we can't see, I'm clicking in here and I'm trying to edit. We can't edit any of this, right? Designer generated code is, you can't edit it. It gets called by EasyLanguage one time at the beginning to create and initialize the components. So as far as I can tell, that it is called even before the initialization event, right? So here, if you go to properties, the analysis technique for the chart analysis technique, you can click that, and then you can go to events. So when the chart is initialized, right? So when the chart is brought onto when the analysis technique is brought onto the chart, you could say something like print print analysis technique started. Okay, so it'll only do that one time, right? AT started. It'll only do that one time. But this designer generated code, I'm pretty sure that this has all happened prior to. Okay, so what we're going to do, let's see if we can confirm that. Let's do print timer1 dot interval dot toString. Now, if this exists, if timer1 interval already exists, right, because it was already created in designer generated code, if it already exists, then it'll print this out. If it doesn't exist, then it'll give us an error, something like that object reference not to an there's an object reference to an instance of an object not created or something like that. All right, so let's verify that. Okay, and you see what it did. It worked. So AT started, and then it says 5,000. So at this point, we know that since this already says 5,000, timer1 has already been set up. So again, before the analysis technique is initialized, designer generated code has already done this thing. Okay, so we can take this information now and we can put it in a different place on the chart. So let's get rid of this. We're going to take this designer generated code. Since we can't edit it here, we're just going to take it and we're going to copy it like this. Now we're going to actually put it in our initialization area. All right, and that method. Okay, and then once we have that, if we verify, it's going to say we have two objects. Oh no, here we need to copy this, and then we need to paste that. Okay, so we need to have the variable, the declaration for the variable, and then down here is where we instantiate it. Okay, so now we're going to verify. Now it says this word has already been defined. Why? Because we already have a timer. So go here, delete that timer. Once we delete that timer, you see our designer generated code area, that went away. Okay, so now if I click designer generated code, well, I guess it still does come up, but the only thing that's there is the initialization event handler for the analysis technique. Okay, so we just close that out. We're going to verify it again. All right, we actually don't need these print statements now. We'll get rid of this. Okay, and now that we have it here, now we can technically adjust any of this that we want to, because now we can type in here. We took it from a designer generated code to just a block of code that can be editable. All right, but you do see here that where we have timer elapsed, this is one of the main reasons why I'm doing this little video here. And thanks to Coach EasyLanguage, he did. Yeah, I had a video with him some time ago, and he kind of helped me understand that this plus equals means that this event here is being assigned this event handler plus equals. So as many times as we redo this statement, this timer will have this many elapsed events. This method will be called this many times, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because we added this method to it this many times. It's kind of cool. All right, so once the timer is elapsed, then this should print like 6 times or whatever that was. All right, so let's verify that. All right, 2, 3, 4, 5. It only did it one time. Let's see here. Timer 1 dot elapse. Timer 1 elapse. All right, let me think about this for a second. Or maybe it can only exist once. Let's do this. Let's copy this. Paste that. we're going to call this one new, and then we're going to call this one new, and then we technically don't need the rest of these, but if the theory is right that if this is already in the, I imagine there's a collection of these methods, right? And so in the collection of these methods where you're adding to it, if this already exists, then it won't duplicate it, right? But since this is a second one, then now you're going to technically have two methods attached to when this timer elapses. All right, let's check it out. Let's see. And we're just going to put new here so we know what's what. Verify. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that did work. Yeah, but that's interesting though. So that this will only, this collection, when this is in the collection, it will only show up once. That's interesting. All right, let's see if there's anything in the help file that helps us understand that. No, not really. Okay, well, so that's going to be something that I made a mental note of that, but that's going to be something that I'd be curious about from here out. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to say, all right, well, which one printed first? This one printed first. So I wonder, can we remove this event handler before this one happens? So if we go here, and timer one dot elapse minus equals this method event handler. Let's see if it'll print that second one now. So it should print the first one. Yep. And it didn't print the second one. Wow. And it's pretty quick, right? So you see what happened, right? Is that these two, that one and that one were in the collection for the event handling. And this one happened to be called first, probably because it was assigned first or in the collection first. And then really quickly we told it to remove this one from the collection, and it worked. But again, I'm pretty sure that I thought that if you did this multiple times, then this would fire multiple times, because I know before I've added, like, used an order ticket and assigned a bracket order to an entry order, and then if you allow this to be for every bar and you don't hit once, like this analysis technique is initialized one time, so this is all essentially once. But if you don't do this one time, then the order ticket on the first go round, it'll say, all right, you had one order ticket attached, and then on the second go round, it'll say you had two, and on the third go round, it'll say you had three, so forth and so on. But I wonder, can we print that collection? I told you, I am not a professional at this. I'm just learning just like you guys are. Print elapse dot. No, I don't think there's anything it's really wanting you to do, allowing you to do. Can we do that? I don't think so. That doesn't feel right. Elapse can only appear on the left-hand side of plus or minus. Now, I'm pretty sure Coach E knows how to do this. Yeah. Not sure what I've got here. All right. But at any route, I think that's cool. All right, so that hopefully that helps somebody with an issue they may be having. No, none of that works. What I'm looking for. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So we talked about the timer. We set the timer, and then we print it from the timer, and then so we can take this one, and after we've removed timer elapse, the new one, now we can just start the timer again. Timer 1 dot start. But before we start it, we're going to go ahead and add this back. All right, so we'll just make sure that it stopped first. Timer 1 dot stop, and then timer 1 dot elapse plus equals timer 1 elapse new, and then we're going to restart it. Okay, so get rid of this because that was a farce. Okay, so now it's going to print this first one, and then it's going to start a new timer for another 5 seconds and assign that new we had to remove the wrong one. All right, so we started the timer down here, and then when the timer elapsed, we went up here and print timer elapsed 5 seconds, and then we removed before it printed out of this elapsed new, we removed that event handler. We stopped the timer, and then we want to add the elapsed new, but we need to remove the other one. Timer 1 dot elapse minus equals timer 1 elapse. Boom. Okay, so we're gonna clear this out. All right, so we got to get the first 5 second print, and then after the next 5 seconds, it should say new timer elapsed 5 seconds. There we go. Boom. All right. It shouldn't keep going though, because we didn't do an auto reset. So, right. Very good. Okay. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, be sure to leave them in the comment box after you like and subscribe. As always, I'm Eric. I've been your host. I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace.